everybody. Merry Christmas. We are here to do a very special episode of the Hallmarkies podcast. It's been kind of fun these last few weeks of Christmas in July. We've been talking about a lot of feature films, and I've really enjoyed it. And we're going to continue on that today. We are talking about what we think are underrated Christmas movies. And that definition can be kind of nebulous of what is underrated, but just whatever we thought was underrated. So pretty simple, and we definitely want to hear what you think, so make sure to put your comments in the comments section. And I'm film critic Rachel Wagner, and Terry's here.
Hello.
Merry Christmas to you.
Merry Christmas to you.
And we have our bonus episode where we give our picks 11 and 12 for the patrons. So if you want to hear what those are, you should join the Patreon. There's that and many other benefits that we have, which are a lot of fun. We have monthly watch-alongs. We have chance to get to know some of the stars of these films, and we have weekly exclusive reviews and bonuses and all kinds of fun stuff. So check out the Patreon. It's the best way you can support us, and we really, really, really try to make it worth your while. And so, yeah, this is a lot of fun. How did you kind of approach this, Terry, as far as thinking about underrated?
Well, I don't know, because I was like sweating over this one, because sometimes I don't know because it's so weird, but sometimes I can't tell what really is underrated or not.
Yeah.
And I just thought, what are some of the films that nobody talks about that I like? Or that people have forgotten. So I thought about a lot of classics, but I don't know. I'm not married to the order of the list that I got here, but I was trying to remember, and I was like, no, I think that's popular. I know we talked about A Christmas in Connecticut, and it's on a lot of people's lists of underrated, but I feel like in the last couple of years, more people have been talking about it. So I was like,
and
maybe don't put that one on,
Yeah, and I asked on Twitter about Christmas in Connecticut, and people were pretty much all like, oh no, it's revered, it's a classic.
Exactly. Yeah, so I feel like more people are discovering it. So I was like, oh, I was sweating, Rachel, sweating, looking, going through TCM's Christmas book over here, trying to get ideas.
Yeah, and we have a short list. If you want to make your own ranking, then I'll put a link to the short list on there. And we'd love to hear that. Just tag us and let us know if you have your own ranking. And of course, there's probably going to be ones that aren't even on that short list that you would have on your list. And so just let us know. But yeah, it's like I said, it is a somewhat nebulous idea of underrated, overrated, but in the end, it's just a way to talk about movies that we think deserve more love than they got, whether critically or just by the mainstream audiences. So let's dive in. What is your number 10?
This one I struggled with, but I don't hear anybody talking about anymore, and I just went ahead and added it. I put Jingle All the Way, the one with Arnold Schwarzenegger and Sinbad. I kind of feel that people liked it when it came out, and I didn't realize how old it was, from 1996. I was like, whoa, the years have passed, Rachel. Yeah. But I did always enjoy it because, I don't know, just seeing Arnold Schwarzenegger fall down and getting beat up. And it's him and Sinbad, and they're fighting to get this toy. Because, of course, he's an overworked, a workaholic who doesn't appreciate his family. And he forgot to get that toy. He waited till the last minute. So it's shenanigans with him trying to buy it on the black market, win a radio contest, the whole parade thing. And just him and Sinbad battling it over. But Sinbad's a good dad. He just has to work a lot. That's why he couldn't get this toy. And it's, And of course, Phil Hartman is great as a sleazy neighbor who's trying to steal Arnold Schwarzenegger's wife. And
I
don't know, there's something about
it is a fun movie. It's definitely, as far as critics, I mean, it was on a lot of worst of the year lists that year, things like that. So I think underrated, definitely, as far as critics, for sure it qualifies. And I mean, it is over the top, especially the ending, but it's, I don't know, I can have fun with it.
Yeah, so I'm not too sure if this one's underrated, but I was like, I don't hear anybody talk about it.
Yeah.
And I was a big Sinbad fan back in the day.
Oh, yeah.
So, of course, I watched this.
Well, my number 10 is also a comedy, and it got really criticized by the critics. They did not like it, but I think it's really cute, is Unaccompanied Minors. This is by director Paul Feig. It's about these kids that are unaccompanied minors that get stuck in this airport over Christmas Eve, and the various shenanigans that happen
Yeah.
to them. And I don't know. I think it's a cute little movie. uh, the antics, the various things. It's got that kind of Paul Feig energy that he
Yeah.
brings to his, let's see, on Rotten Tomatoes, 30%.
Oh, wow.
I don't know. I just feel like it's a better movie than that.
Yeah.
It's like a sweet family comedy, and it's it's got Lewis Black, who's always fun.
Yes, he's always fun. Yeah.
He's good in it. And yeah, this might be a good one if we do our Rotten to Fresh
Oh, yeah, totally.
thing,
I've
because
got to rewatch this one because I have a very little memory of it. I know
mm-hmm,
I've seen it, but
yeah,
I can't retain it all, Rachel. It's just too much garbage flowing in and out
yeah,
of my brain.
oh, it's true. Ho, ho, ho. We'd like to take a second and thank our sponsor for this episode of the podcast. It's the Hallmarkies Patreon.
Do you love Hallmarkies podcasts, especially at Christmas?
Do you enjoy the holiday previews, recaps, interviews, and bonus episodes?
If the answer is yes, please consider supporting the Hallmarkies Patreon. We need your help to do what we do both during the Christmas season and all year round.
But not only do you help a podcast led by strong, independent women by becoming a Patreon, you get to become a part of the Hallmarkies family.
Starting at only $2 a month as a patron, you will have access to our Facebook Patreon group where we talk about the movies, shows, and more all year.
We also have many monthly patron watch-alongs with guests like Lacey Chabert, Natalie Hall, Paul Campbell, Mary Lou Henner, and more, giving their behind-the-scenes details of their films.
As a patron, you also have the chance to provide input into the podcast and even join us at different tiers.
So this Christmas season, spread some cheer to the Hallmarkies Patreon and become a member today. You won't regret it.
Go to patreon.com/Hallmarkies to learn more.
That's patreon.com/Hallmarkies. You have a number 9.
I have something that I remembered and I rewatched from when I was a kid. It's from 1981, A Chipmunk Christmas. It was an animated
Nice.
special.
Yeah.
And I think this one is underrated, but also forgotten because we've rebooted the Chipmunks in the last 15 years. So they're vastly different than what the Chipmunks were in the 80s, animation wise and
I mean, it's
character-wise,
this
but-
movie that gives us the hula hoop song. Me, I want a hula hoop.
Yes. Yes.
Can hardly stand the wait. Please, Christmas, don't be late.
Yeah, and it's basically, I mean, it's very sweet. You know,
Yeah.
Alvin gives his harmonica away to a sick boy to make him feel better. And then they have to play Carnegie Hall, and he needs to do a harmonica solo, but he can't tell Dave he gave it away because because he's like,
Yeah.
no, Dave gave that to me. So they're trying all these shenanigans to make money, and Dave's disgusted at Alvin. Like, you don't have a Christmas spirit. All they have to do is tell the truth. I mean, it's kind of stretched that way.
Mhm.
It has it's very cute, very 80s. I grew up watching the Chipmunks. I mean, listen, the whole, like, if you think about the cartoon back in the day, they were ahead of their time with, you know, with that whole, you know, tear the Berlin Wall down episode. I think that's the most famous Chipmunk like cartoon episode, but I remember going to see all the movies, and I love the Chipmunks, and I'm kind of disgusted with how they are portrayed now, but this mainly is a nostalgia pick for me.
Mhm. Like you said, it's got that great song, classic.
It does. It has a
Yeah.
lot, like, it's the Chipmunks, lots of classic Christmas too, and you know, I really am
Well-
disgusted with what they are now. But anyhow,
Yeah. My next one is a movie from 2019 that flew under the radar. It's called Feast of the Seven Fishes.
See, this I
And,
have not gotten to see yet, and I
yeah.
wanted to.
It's a
you
really,
know.
I mean, you would love it because it's all
Yeah,
set
I'm
in New
sure I
Jersey.
would. Yeah, I'm sure I would because I know it's on Peacock, and I was like, I will see it before the month is out.
Yeah. I think you would relate to it quite strongly. I mean, you just sub in a Italian family for a Portuguese family. And I think
Well, my best friend's Italian, so I have gone through many Italian Christmases.
Yeah. So it's basically kind of it doesn't have like a ton of plot, but it's about, you sort of follow this family. It's kind of a slice of life kind of type movie. follow this family, this Italian family, and they're having this feast of the seven fishes, which is traditional Irish. I mean, it's traditional Italian meal thing they do, and the various characters in the family, and particularly the lead characters, this young man, this boy, and he's got this crush on this girl, and kind of the various shenanigans that happen. It's just a really sweet, well done. I mean, a lot of times these family shenanigans, family comedies
It'd be a
aren't
bit
for me, but
much,
this is pretty grounded and realistic and relatable, and it's just well done.
yeah.
So what do you have next?
8. I have The Man Who Came to Dinner from 1941. This one I should have put also on the list of Christmas movies that you don't think are Christmas movies. But it stars Betty Davis, Monty Woolley, and Sheridan. I think I also had this on my rom-com list. Basically, Monty Woolley is a critic. He's very famous. He has a radio show. He's very, cranky. And he's on this tour, and he's going to, and photogs are there taking pictures. He's going to meet this prominent family on the tour, but he slips on the way up there and breaks his leg, hurts his leg. And so the family's like, oh, we'll take him in so he can recover. He wrecks his family. He takes over their house.
Yeah.
He gets involved in their kids' lives. He's so cranky. And he's trying to ruin Betty Davis because she's like, I'm quitting because I've fallen in love and nothing you can do will change my mind because I know all your games. And he's like, I can't let the best assistant and the only person who really tolerates him go. So he gets Ann Sheridan to try to steal her boyfriend. And it all takes place like during like the lead up to Christmas and Christmas. And, it's what you expect from one of those forgotten kind of comedy movies. And especially because when you think of comedy, you don't think of Betty Davis. But it is kind of funny. And I don't know. It's just the way because there's so many famous people that pop up, what he does in the end. And of course he feels bad then for wrecking everybody's life and he's got to make amends. But so it's got that theme to it. But it's a fun watch if you could see it. I think it's also
seen it.
Yeah, I think it's one of Betty Davis is also like lesser known films because she's such a powerhouse in the more dramatic, elements. So
yeah, I'll have to check that out. My number 8 is going to the horror territory, and it's Anna and the Apocalypse is my number 8. This is one of the most unique Christmas movies to have come out, especially the last couple of years, where it's a zombie horror Christmas musical.
Okay.
And yes,
I have to see this. I know.
Yes, and the songs are really fun. Particularly, there's 2 that are the standouts, but they're, I think, very catchy, and the leads are strong. And I was genuinely surprised at some of the people that turned. That you expect to kind of make it out, and they don't. So that gave it some pretty good stakes, I thought. And you got the Christmas element and the musical element, and so sign me up. That's enough for me. And I mean, I really don't think it's that bad as far as, I mean, it is R-rated, but I don't think it's like that bad. I think most people can probably handle it. I mean, the only people who die are zombies. So I don't know. It's not that.
It's all right, Rachel. It's TV. I mean, it's movies. It's not real.
Yeah. I think
now hold up. If I ran into a real life zombie, could I just go, I cannot do violence towards you and just run? I don't know. No. But in the film, it's okay.
I'm sticking that candy cane through the zombie's heart.
I think I kind of would. I mean, in real life, you got a zombie after you.
Yeah.
You're like, it's me or the dead guy.
Yeah, and then I become a zombie. You don't want that.
Exactly.
So
yeah.
I liked it a lot.
Yeah.
I thought it was just super creative, and so people should check it out. Try something different. Your Hallmark than Hallmark. So what do you have next?
So we're at 7, right? I believe this is the original version of We're No Angels. Directed by Michael Curtiz. This is a weird, makes no sense movie.
It is a weird movie.
we've got Humphrey Bogart and Peter Ustinov. I can't remember who's the third guy, but they're criminals. You know, they break out of jail. They go hide out in a small town. They go into the
Yeah.
store and, oh, it's not right. Look, I'll fix your roof, you know. Oh, let me sell a couple of things. And then they make them Christmas dinner. And these guys end up helping this family's on the financial brink by doing underhand things, you know, like criminal ways. And then like, oh, we got to fix all this mess. And, you know, it's very predictable. And at the end, they're like, we got to turn ourselves in. And
Hmm.
it's very much of like, these guys are awful criminals.
Yeah, and they're kind of awful guys. They spend a lot of that movie
Yeah.
just like being peeping toms, basically.
Exactly. Yeah, well, because they're on the run, you know, they're on the run, hiding
Looking
out,
at
and
this
they're
woman.
spying on everybody, and they're like, we're
Yeah.
gonna rob them, and then they end up cooking them Christmas dinner. It's bizarre. That I know that if I remember correctly, I think Bogart is the thief. Everybody else is the murderer. So
Yeah.
you have like really these horrible guys just for whatever reason they don't understand it themselves, but they're like, we got to help this family. You know, we got to help
Yeah.
this girl marry who she really wants. We got to save the store. You know, it's weird, but it's also fun in a strange way.
Yeah. I have to admit, this is one that I did not love.
Oh,
This
I
one
get it. I
for
get it
Blind
because it
Spot.
is.
I
Yeah,
was just
it
like
is.
these. I didn't really like the characters or find them
Yeah,
amusing, or I don't know. It just didn't. It just
I
didn't
can see it.
work
It's
for
not for
me.
everybody. It's like, why? Why are you doing any of this? It is
Yeah,
kind of. It's
it
just.
is
I don't
considered a
know.
classic.
It is. I I had to look it up because I thought I was like, nobody knows this. And then I found out it's been remade like twice more, and I was like, "What?"
Yeah.
It's like one of the movies like I didn't know anybody thought about or anything like that.
I think that
But
Robert De Niro, I think, is in
oh, I don't know. I know they
the
have a
remake.
70s version too. I have no idea. I was perplexed by that, and I do feel like I know I saw it a lot on TV, at least when I was a kid. And I again, a lot of this is also from what I remember when I was
Yeah, I mean,
younger.
and it has a lot of fans. Like I
Yeah.
got a lot of people in my comments saying like, I can't believe you didn't like it,
I
whatever.
know, but I can
So,
see why. It's like
mhm.
I you don't understand the motivation of it.
I
It's
just
like,
like that they I just didn't really like the whole peeping Tom element, and I don't know, they were
no,
just
well, how else are they gonna figure out, you know, how to do all those underhanded things to save the
yeah,
store? Like, why would these hardcore criminals like bother trying to help this family? It's
yeah.
weird, but I
I'm not
get
the
it.
biggest dark comedy person.
Yeah.
I mean, every once in a while there'll be something, but it's tough to pull off. But yeah, I like I said, I know that it has a
Yeah.
lot of fans. We'd like to take a second and thank our sponsor for this episode of the podcast. It's Factor Meals. Warmer, sunnier days are calling. Fuel up for them with Factor's no prep, no mess meals. Meet your wellness goals in time for summer thanks to the menu of chef-crafted meals with options like Calorie Smart, Protein Plus, and Keto. Factor's fresh, never frozen meals are dietitian approved and ready to eat in just 2 minutes. So no matter how busy you are, you'll always have time to enjoy nutritious, great tasting meals. Make today the day you kickstart a new healthy routine. What are you waiting for? With 35 different meals and more than 60 add-ons to choose from every week, you'll always have new flavors to explore. Crush your wellness goals this month with dietitian-approved meals and ingredients you can trust. Make your day delicious from breakfast to dessert. Stay fueled with easy, nutritious options. Treat yourself to restaurant-quality meals that feature premium ingredients like filet mignon, shrimp, and blackened salmon. Keep kitchen time to a minimum. Factor meals are ready in 2 minutes. No shopping, prepping, cooking, or cleaning up. Enjoy effortless support for your lifestyle. Choose from 6 menu preferences to help you manage calories, maximize protein intake, avoid meat, or simply eat well balanced. Head to factormeals.com/Hallmarkies50 and use code Hallmarkies50 to get 50% off your first box plus 20% off your next month. That's code Hallmarkies50 at factormeals.com/Hallmarkies50 to get 50% off your first box plus 20% off your next month while your subscription is active. Definitely check out Factor Meals. We know you'll love them. 7 is where I have Barbie: A Perfect Christmas. And I really could put any of the Barbie movies, all 3 Christmas Barbie movies. They're all really fun, in my opinion. The Barbie Christmas Carol is really clever. Barbie is an opera singer, and she had this like stage diva aunt who stage mom aunt who pushed her ridiculously, and she ends up being the Jacob Marley character for the story. And instead of cash boxes, she has mirrors attached, to your chain. So I just thought it was kind of a clever and hairbrush and things like because it's the vanity more than the money, for her. And anyway, I like that. I think it's a pretty good take on Christmas Carol. Also, so the Bob Cratchit character in this one is like her intern, and when they go to future, she has now become even worse of a Scrooge to everybody around her. And so I thought that was kind of a clever take on the Cratchit character, that they would then become a Scrooge. You usually don't see that in Christmas Carol. And so anyway, I think it's pretty good. And then Barbie Nutcracker is probably the best version of Nutcracker, because most Nutcracker movies are absolutely terrible. And they went to all the work to have a symphony orchestra do the Tchaikovsky, and it's you've got your Nutcracker story, and it's fun. And but then Barbie A Perfect Christmas has so many fun songs, and it's basically just like Barbie and her sisters trying to get home to Christmas, and there's various things that stop them on their way. But I think that Hallmark fans will love this. Like it's like a classic kind of Hallmark structure, and it has some really fun songs. So people should be able to check it out. It's cute.
I have a confession, Rachel. I've never seen a Barbie animated movie.
Yeah.
Never.
There,
and
I guess what and people can check out my Barbie movie ranking. I have always just been impressed by them, because I feel like they tried way harder than they needed to for like direct to DVD. Like there's actually like pretty good story, and like I was saying about Christmas Carol, like they're actually thinking about these character arcs and the story. Like they could just pump these out and have no like care about the lore and the stories, and the animation is kind of rough, so you have to sort of accept that sort of cheaply rendered aesthetic. But as far as story, music, characters, they're pretty good, and certainly better than they needed to be. And I just admire that they tried harder than they had to. And I think you'd like Barbie A Perfect Christmas. It's a lot of fun.
Did you love Barbie as a kid?
I did. I was more into American Girl dolls as far as the toys, because they're just easier to dress. Barbies are a little hard to dress, whereas the American Girls are a little bigger.
I think they're a lot easier now because their feet move. They have all these moving parts now.
Yeah.
But I only ever had one true Barbie. Like I had some Disney dolls, and my sister had a Gem doll. And we got some hand-me-downs from our cousins, but the only Barbie officially that I ever had was Safari Barbie, which I still have in storage. I ran across Safari Barbie the other day, and I was like, "You will stay with me till I die."
Yeah, I mean, I definitely enjoyed Barbies, but I was probably more American Girl. But
I never knew American Girl existed until I was like outgrew it. I also think maybe culturally it's probably when I grew up in my parents were immigrants, and they didn't know about American Doll. I didn't know about American Doll. Only later did I find out, like, oh, American Doll's been around for a long time. And I would have loved them, period. But American Dolls. I missed out on a whole, a whole thing.
I enjoyed watching the Barbie movies with my sister, who's 18 years younger than me.
Yeah.
And so I think that's where I started watching the movies. And I always just was real impressed by them. And so I think I've become an even bigger fan of Barbie as an adult, ironically, than I was even as a child. But I did like them.
Yeah,
I did like them, and I just appreciate, like, I guess the older I've gotten, the more I've become a defender of things that are pink and girly, and obviously I could talk about Hallmark movies, but I just think that it's important to celebrate all different brands of femininity and warmth and love, and so I think there's
Barbie
that about it
has
too.
become so much more inclusive now too.
Yeah, absolutely.
I remember, like, for my friend, I bought her Barbies when she was little for her birthday, and I went on a look, and I was like, no, I'm going to get her Barbies that look just like her.
And
which
really
I
the
loved
Barbie animated,
because she didn't have any dolls that looked like her, and I found
yeah.
the perfect Barbie that you know matched her like toe for toe in style and
Yeah.
everything, and I
And
was
the
like,
Barbie animated films
no,
have like a little bit of everything. There's a spy movie, there's a superhero
yeah,
movie,
that's good, that's good.
there's one that's set in space. There's the fairy tales, which are my favorite.
Yeah.
There's modern ones. They almost all have music and that's pretty good. And in particular, like I said, these Christmas ones are just the music is really, really good. So I don't know. I just really enjoy them. So
Hey, give it a
people,
shot.
and I really think the
Check it out.
Hallmarkies would like Barbie: A Perfect Christmas. It's
Sure,
it's good.
I can see it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So what do you have next?
We're at 6, right? I have
Yes.
the Ref, which is
Mm-hmm.
probably the
Yeah.
height of what Dennis Leary was and his comedy
Yeah.
shtick or whatever at that time. But the idea, I love Judy Davis. But
Yeah.
the idea that he has to take this family because he's a thief or hostage, and they're a dysfunctional family, and he's regretting everything. And of course, he somehow has to teach this family how to get along and be better people. The thief has to teach this dysfunctional family, the right
Yeah.
way. But
I mean,
shenanigans ensue,
yeah. I mean, these
basically.
two people should not be married. Like they are so like whoa.
No way. I don't know how well reviewed it was at the time, but I do think that nobody remembers this movie
Yeah.
exists. And some
Well, and
people might
especially
not
with
want
kind
to.
of Kevin Spacey,
Yeah,
and
he is in
things.
it. Yeah, and
Yeah.
I actually don't
But
know
he's
if
a horrible person in it. So
I don't know if Kevin Spacey was as big as he got at this point that the ref came out.
yeah. No,
I'm not
I don't
sure,
think
but I
so.
know it's a hard rewatch
Yeah.
depending how you feel. If you're, okay with watching,
But I
and
mean,
you can't erase it.
like,
It happened, like him
yeah.
being in the movie. That is
I mean, he's a terrible person in it.
oh my
So like
god,
that,
no
it's not
redeeming
like they're trying
qualities.
to, build
Yes,
him
you
up.
you you want Dennis Leary to like
Yeah.
just get rid of all these people. You're on his side,
Yeah.
because you're
Yeah.
like, why did he pick the
Yeah.
wrong family?
Well, my number six is one I know you don't care for. It's Spirited is my number six.
Yeah,
I really enjoyed it. I loved the classic musical numbers, the big choreography, the spirited songs. I just thought were really catchy. Pasek and
Will
Paul
Ferrell is very good in
songs.
the movie. Yeah.
And I liked the whole idea of going behind the scenes of of Christmas Carol. It's crazy that we got two of those that year, but
Yes.
it was something that it's hard to take a classic story like Christmas Carol and find a new way to tell it. And so that was fun to do. And I love the supporting cast, Octavia Spencer.
Oh yeah.
I think that Will Ferrell and Ryan Reynolds have chemistry. I don't have as many issues with Ryan as you do.
Yes.
And I think he plays like a pretty believable smug.
Well, that's his whole
Yeah,
personality.
it's his thing.
I mean, he's probably a
And so
lovely
it
man in
works for
real
the
life,
role
but
to me.
yeah.
And so but really it's mainly the very
Yeah.
catchy songs and the just ode to classic Hollywood musical numbers that I really find very entertaining. So
Yeah.
that's what I have at six. What do you have at five?
At 5, I have wait, I just got distracted. My phone rang. Sorry. Bachelor Mother.
That's a
With
really good
Ginger
one.
Rogers and David Niven. From the 30s or late 30s. I'm not sure. This one's like Ginger Rogers works at a department store. She gets fired. She comes home. She sees somebody abandoning a baby. She takes that baby to the orphanage, and the orphanage is like, "We'll help you out. Don't leave your baby." And she's like, "Nah, this ain't my baby." They find out where she works and tells them, and says to your boss, "You're a horrible person. Like you fired her. She got a baby."
Yeah.
Boss hires her, gives her a promotion. And David Niven's like, "I got a Christmas present." She comes home, it's the baby. She's like, "This ain't my baby." Nobody believes her. And finally she gives in and she's like, "I'm gonna raise this baby." Oh, and she leaves him behind too, like to go dancing. And David Niven's like, "You're gonna take care of your baby."
Yeah.
And she keeps like, "No." And then of course she's got, I think it's a quasi boyfriend or whatever, who starts blackmailing everybody. And then he tells David Niven's father that that's his kid. And then his daddy's like, "If you don't get married and take care of your kid," and now he's like, "No, it's not my baby." It's a lot of shenanigans, and
Yeah.
they fall in love. It's what you expect, but
It's a
I
really
do
good
love Ginger
movie.
Rogers. She's very
Mhm.
charming in this movie.
Yeah.
I know it's not for everybody, but I do love Ginger
Yeah.
Rogers.
I really like it too. That's a great
Yeah.
pick. My number 5 is a family shenanigans movie, which are a hard sell for me, but I really did enjoy this one. It's called Almost Christmas. This is Danny Glover plays the patriarch of this family, and Gabrielle Union is one of the kids. They're getting everybody together for Christmas. His wife has passed away, and he is trying to remember the recipes that she made and trying to make the food the way that she would make it. And he keeps failing and failing and failing, and then there's various sort of Christmas shenanigans that happen with the different family members. But at the core, the movie has like big heart because it's all about him uh grieving for his wife, and again trying to have some sense of her back in making these recipes. And it's a great cast. It's got Omar Epps, Glover, Monique, JB Smoove, Gabrielle Union, Gladys Knight. uh, and I don't know, I just feel like you never hear this one talked about. I think it's
Yeah, I
it's
haven't seen
actually
this
quite
one.
charming.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you
Okay.
haven't seen it?
No, I haven't seen it, but it sounds like something that I would
Oh yeah,
dig. I would like.
you'd like it. Yeah, definitely. So what do you have next?
Well, we're at 4, right?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, my phone rang and I lost all train of thought. I had to put a Barbara Stanwyck movie here, so I put Remember the Night with
Yeah,
Fred
that one was
McMurray.
I debated about that one. It's really good.
Yeah. So basically, she's a thief. She gets caught stealing. He's prosecuting her, but he's like, it's Christmas. Let me postpone this. Let me try to like get this after her so she doesn't have a
Yeah.
rough Christmas. And he gets a bail bondsman to bail her out of jails. And he the bail bondsman thinks that he's trying to seduce her, but she's got nowhere to go. And he's like, I gotta go home. So it's a road trip too. They get into shenanigans, and her mom is like, girl, I'm done with you. So she's got to go spend Christmas with his family, and they're falling in love. And his mama's like, girl, you got to leave him because, he's going up in life and you're not. What I appreciate about this movie too is it has an open ending sort of. I mean, you hope that when she gets out of jail that they will be together, but you never know, So you kind of can fan fiction your own ending for this
Mm.
movie. But it's sweet and it's Barbara Stanwyck, so you can't go wrong.
Yeah. Yeah, that's definitely a good pick. My next one is an anime film from Japan. It's called Tokyo Godfathers, and this is by the great director and animator Satoshi Kon. And it's a absolutely beautiful, lovely film about these 3 kind of vagrants, the 3 wanderers who find a baby, kind of like Bachelor Mother, on Christmas, and it's and so then the movie is about them trying to find the mother of the baby and getting kind of attached to the baby. And there are 3 stories. You have a kind of a grumpy, surly old man. You have like a trans woman, and you have you have a man in drag. I don't know if it's full trans, but anyway, you have a trans woman, and you have a runaway young girl. So it's this kind of odd assortment of characters that find this baby, and they're trying to find the parent, and they get to sort of know each other, and you get to learn their backstories. And it's beautifully animated. It's got tons of heart. It's a wonderful story, and it's got lots of humanity to it. And it's one that I think a lot of people that don't follow anime probably haven't seen, but
I
it's
haven't
it's
seen it
it's a
yet.
really wonderful movie.
It sounds like 3 Godfathers, so the there's a couple of different versions of that, but I know one has John Wayne in it, where these 3 men kind of find this baby and they have to take care of it whilst trying to find his mom.
Oh yeah, it's
Yeah, it's kind
okay. It
of
was inspired. It says
oh, it's inspired. Okay, because I
yeah.
was like,
So
that sounds like
Satoshi
various
Kon was
versions of
inspired
Three
by
Godfathers.
1948 Three Godfathers to make the film.
I think that's the one with John Wayne. Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
There's a
Yeah.
30s version too. It's funny because the John Wayne is with the number 3 Godfathers, and the 30s version is the Godfathers. Or 3, something like that.
So this one's Tokyo Godfathers,
Yeah.
and it is a just lovely movie. I think it has, like I said, tons of
it sounds lovely.
humanity.
I have to watch this one because I've heard about it. I just haven't seen it.
And it's all over the place as far as it's on Pluto TV, it's on Tubi, it's on it's wide. It's not one of those animes
available.
That's it's widely available. So you should watch it. Satoshi Kon, all of his movies were absolute masterpieces, and it's a shame that he only, I think, made 4 films, but he has Perfect Blue, Paprika, Tokyo Godfathers, and Millennium Actress. All 4 of those, I would say, are genuine masterpieces. He was an incredible animator, and he's really good at kind of bringing people that are outcast, misfits on the edge of society, and giving them the starring role, and giving them humanity and warmth and life, and so it's certainly the case here.
We'd like to take a second and thank our sponsor for this episode of the podcast. It's the Hallmarkies merch store.
Are you looking for that perfect gift for the postable, hardy, or Hallmarky in your life?
What about getting that t-shirt or hoodie that will help you stand out at your next holiday party?
Now is the time to check out the Hallmarkies merch store.
Full of festive designs by artists like Jessica Miller, Carrie from Hallmark Comics, and more.
You can even have more than just shirts, but totes, cell phone cases, notebooks, mugs, and more.
And it isn't just Hallmark. We have designs for Anna Green Gables, Man from Snowy River, The Nanny, and more.
Every purchase at the merch store goes to help support the podcast and allows us to make the great content you know and love.
There are frequent sales, so go to tpublic.com/stores/Hallmarkies or see the link in the description.
That's tpublic.com/stores/Hallmarkies.
So what do you have next?
So for 3, I have I just recently rewatched this Emmett Otter's Jug Band Christmas.
So good.
And I was like, because I was like, I got to put Muppets on here. And I think because this one is an older, people forget about it. And I rewatched it because I had seen it as a kid. And it's just so good because I can't believe that, they're puppets, they're Muppets, but when the mother otter is like thinking like, my son wants that guitar, I don't know, the face doesn't move, but I can feel her thinking and her sadness. It very much feels like
it's
the
grittier
1930s. It's
grittier.
grittier.
It's grittier than you usually see with the Muppets. It's got like everything feels kind of dirty, and
the dad is gone. They're struggling for money. The whole town is struggling,
but charming too.
Very charming, and the songs are adorable. That song that they sing about the otter grandmother and her bathing suit, and how everybody was, and how after she died it clothed everybody. I mean, it's like crazy, but it's so it doesn't feel like you're watching perhaps a movie set in the 30s, maybe 40s, where they're struggling with financial money. The
only reason
country feel to it.
I'm so glad you had it. The only reason it didn't make my list is because I think it's barely a Christmas movie. I mean,
it is true. I mean, they they had that big Christmas thing at the end, but I was like, because I didn't put this on my Muppets list, and I was like, I gotta rewatch this, and
it's really good. And there's the whole plot of them trying to get the present for their mom. I think it is.
Yeah, and like it kind of has that. Yeah, he's trying to get a present for the mom. The mom's trying to get a present for the kid. It's very. It has a lot of heart, and when I rewatched it I was like, oh wow, this was based on a book, which makes sense. But it's adorable, and those
so many amazing,
so cute.
It's so good. My number 3 is another animated film that I think is very underrated, underappreciated. It's Arthur Christmas. I love this movie from the Artman folks, and it's such a good story because there's really
I have not seen this one.
You've never seen this?
It's to my shame. I know everybody talks about it.
It's so good. It's about the son of Santa Claus, and there's 2 sons. One is Arthur, one is the older son is turned to the North Pole into this military kind of thing, precision, everything's organized, and whereas Arthur, he's still reading all of the letters, and he cares that every kid gets what they want for Christmas, and he's like the heart of the whole institution. The Santa Claus, the dad, is just kind of given up and let the older son, just do his thing. And the thing is that the older son, voiced by Hugh Laurie, he's not a bad person. He's not a villain. He just, he's trying to do the best he can, but he just kind of has forgotten at the end what it's all about, And Arthur finds out that a present was left on the sleigh, and so he makes it his mission to bring the girl her present, and the various shenanigans that go on because of that. It's got beautiful animation, as always the case with Aardman. But an incredible voice cast, of course, that you have James McAvoy, Hugh Laurie, Bill Nighy, Jim Broadbent, Melda Staunton, the list goes on. And I don't know, it's a really good movie, and it's one that it just flew under the radar. So that's my number 3. What do you have next?
For my number 2, I have Holiday Affair, which I think is, for me, peak Robert Mitchum hotness.
Yeah. His character is so weird in this movie, like in an absolutely mesmerizing way. His character.
It's true, and they like. I mean, it is like you mentioned before. Very much, I think fans of Hallmark movies will love this because they kind of go with this formula. She buys this train set because, she's
cute, meet cute.
Yeah, because like she's working for another store, and she's like just shopping to, compare prices. And he kind of gets the feeling that, And then her son's like, oh, I got a train set. And she's like, no, son, no. And she's got to bring it back. And he's like, I knew it. And he wants to get her in trouble. Yeah. He wants to get her in trouble, but then they go shopping and they fall in love,
My favorite part of this whole movie is the final toast. When Robert Mitchum's character is like, I couldn't love this other guy, Phil, that has been hanging on, even though she's not really that interested.
I know, because she's supposed to marry him on New Year's.
Yeah. And he's like, I couldn't love Phil, or whatever his name is, more if he was my own brother, but sorry. You can't marry him. You have to marry me instead. It's really funny.
And she ends up being his alibi too. What? Yeah, he gets arrested, right? She's his alibi, and he's like, "What? You guys spending time together?" Yeah. And he's like, "Marry me," and she's like, "Nope, I will not." And the son has to like tell his mom. This is how he gets his mom to realize, like, no, you really care for him. Like, I'm gonna grow up and leave you. So you need a man. And I was like, that worked,
Yeah, and her like, 40s. Yeah, the codependence between mother and son is like,
I know. Crazy.
And this very kid 40s. Is like the most sort of Hollywood mop top kid that he lays it on real thick, this child actor.
Yeah. But
But it's a really fun choice.
It is.
And so my number 2 is actually a remake. It's The Preacher's Wife. I know people, love The Bishop's Wife.
I did debate putting this one on, but I didn't know if I guess maybe it has become underrated today, because I just remember it being a big hit.
Yeah, maybe it was a big hit, but it certainly wasn't a hit
with
critics.
That's my memory of it.
And I don't know, I just feel like because it's a remake and people just sort of initially just kind of dismiss remakes. And
true.
I mean, I don't know, like it's hard. It's a hard story because you need it in the end. It's a platonic, relationship, because it's about this married couple, and I think that in a certain way, I find it a little more sort of believable in this one than I do in the original. It is hard to believe that she'd be interested in. I think it's David Niven. Anyway,
because you've got Cary Grant in the original.
Cary Grant is,
and then you have Denzel Washington in the remake, and I'm like, No, I will go with the angel. Like, can I make this work out? It's hard. These are
But
very
it is
hard.
hard,
Like,
but I do think I buy the dynamic a little bit more in this remake as far as they make it. I think they successfully make it a little more platonic than they do in the
yeah,
but I don't know. I
it's
just
hard
think
because yeah,
that we've rarely had more charismatic actors than Whitney Houston and Denzel Washington. They are so good.
yeah,
And just the music alone is
yes,
so great in this. Maybe the best Christmas music soundtrack ever. I mean, it is
it is.
really good.
It,
I mean,
I now I'm wondering too if people remember the original too, or if that's kind of because I feel like the original Bishop Wives has like fallen off, and then you're right
yeah,
because I did think about the remake, but my memory of it was that it was more successful than what it was. But it's true, people don't really. It's not played that often, and I
yeah.
kind of
I
wonder
mean,
if the whole
I
thing
like
that
both. I like both of the movies and the
yeah,
whole idea of sort of the the preacher and or the bishop coming to realize what's really important and what matters and
but
I think it's
but
nice
kudos to
and
but kudos to these movies that keep the angels as angels and
yeah,
not giving them a second chance on life to like fall in, even though we want that. We're
yeah.
like, oh, they're better than the married couple, but it
uh
is sweet.
but yeah, I mean, just real good star power and incredible music, incredible songs. I don't know, I like it. I think it's a good movie. I like
Yeah,
the
it
preacher's
is.
wife. Yeah. Well, what do you have? What's your number one?
Well, I put again from my childhood a Muppets Family Christmas because I've seen it now several times since I rewatched it for the Muppet ranking. And I do feel like because even though we think there's a lot of Muppet holiday movies, specials, or whatever, there's really not. And I think this one probably got lost in the shuffle because people, talk about the Muppet Christmas Carol, rightfully so. But I don't know. This one has the Muppets, Sesame Street, Fraggle Rock. It has Gonzo fighting a turkey for the affections of his girlfriend,
Yeah.
Chicken Camille. It has the Swedish chef who tries to cook Big Bird. I mean, come on. You can't.
Yeah.
Fonzie's mom giving up, a beach vacation. It's my
Yeah.
favorite. Oh, and Muppet Babies, guys. There's Muppet Babies. So
It's so good.
it's so
And
good.
getting to see Jim Henson and just
Yeah,
it's wonderful.
it's wonderful.
Well, my number one is one I mentioned in the Hidden Christmas movie episode. It's a movie that I had never seen until I did it for the Criterion Project. It is directed by Frank Capra. It's Meet John Doe, and it's a wonderful movie. It's about it's Barbara Stanwyck, and she plays this reporter. She's desperate to keep her job. She writes this fake letter of this man who says that if that he's going to commit suicide, basically, and she signs it John Doe, and so then they basically hire Gary Cooper to play John Doe when it becomes this breakout hit, this letter, and so he starts playing this part, and of course then things get more and more complicated, and it all kind of culminates in this Christmas Eve broadcast that they do, and there's this famous speech that he gives on Christmas, and it says that says in the speech, this is, to most of you, your neighbor is a stranger, a guy with a barking dog and a high fence around him. Now you can't be a stranger to any guy that's on your own team. So tear down the fence that separates you. Tear down the fence and you'll tear down a lot of hates and prejudices. Tear down all the fences in the country and you'll really have teamwork. I know a lot of you are saying to yourself, he's asking for a miracle to happen. He's expecting people to change all of a sudden. Well, you're wrong. It's no miracle. It's no miracle because I see it happen every year. And so do you at Christmas time. There's something swell about the spirit of Christmas to see what it does to people, all kinds of people. Now, why can't that spirit, that same warm Christmas spirit, last the whole year round? Gosh, if it ever did, If each and every John Doe would make that spirit last 365 days out of the year, we'd develop such a strength, we'd create such a tidal wave of goodwill that no human force could stand against it. Yes, sir, my friends, the meek can only inherit the earth when the John Does start loving their neighbors. You better start right now. Don't wait till the game is called on account of the darkness. Wake up, John Doe. You're the hope of the world. So it's really
Sweet.
good.
I have to see. I didn't have enough time to watch it before we did this, but I do
Yeah.
have to see this movie.
Yeah. And I felt like I never could get her talked about as a Christmas classic. Never or classic at all. I just don't think I hadn't seen it until I did it for a Criterion Project. And even though it's Frank Capra, Barbara Stanwyck, Gary Cooper, it's just one of those ones that really flew under the radar, and it's such a lovely little movie, and Christmas is completely at its heart. Like you just hear that speech. So yeah, people should check it out. But there we go. That is our top 10 underrated Christmas movies.
It was a struggle.
It was. This was hard. It was hard. But let us know what your picks would be, what you think of our picks, and what you would pick in the comments section or on Twitter. And Terry, where can people find you?
At Twitter, at Flurry Heaven on Twitter.
And you can find me at Rachel's Reviews, all over social media, iTunes, YouTube, and on Rotten Tomatoes. So check that out. Also, make sure that you check out our bonus episode for this. You hear our 11 and 12 picks for the patrons, and just sign up for the Patreon. You definitely will find it worth your while. And if you are listening on iTunes, please leave your ratings and reviews. We appreciate it so much. If you are listening on YouTube, please give the video a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. We'd love to get to 10,000 subscribers. We're just past the 8,000. And most of our listeners on YouTube aren't subscribers. So if you're in that camp, please subscribe. It really helps us a lot. And we have the merch store. We can get all kinds of festive designs. So take a look at that. And thanks so much, everybody. Merry Christmas.
Bye.